points there. Unlikely how they played out, but good, fortunate. I was narrating them both, and just now realized that my mic was muted. So, sorry you all missed out on that. Unless you're here for just pure gameplay and no commentary, then I suppose that was right up your alley. But we'll go ahead and re-engage and get stuck in the fight here. See what we can do with our remaining long-range missiles. Okay, we got 2 friendlies on the radar. That's probably his 2 bogeys I've got here visually. So bogey means unidentified aircraft. Bandit means identified enemy aircraft. And a contact is just something showing up on your radar, whether it be friendly or foe. So you can be familiar with a little bit of the terminology. Nice little city down there. We'll try to cruise around about between 4,800 and 5,100 meters altitude. That's going to afford us the best launch altitude and speed for our missiles, giving us the best opportunity to flee if our enemy forces a R engagement, or to push them offensive or kill them sooner. R is an acronym in AR, stands for minimum abort range. So the MAR is the distance from you to someone that you're engaging, at which you can no longer turn around and evade one of their missiles just by proper maneuvering and fleeing. You have to essentially enter a dogfight as you cross the MAR. That's not ideal. We don't want to fight like that. It's unsafe and risky, but sometimes it happens, whether through not paying attention or your opponent having a considerable numerical advantage and forcing that on you. We'll go ahead and switch to head-on track wall scan. Get a better lock on this. And it looks like our J11 just down to F14, so we can move back to track wall scan mode. Got something here visually out on the horizon. I'm going to assume that that is an enemy at this altitude, probably an F-15 or F-14, because F-16s generally stay on the deck in War Thunder Sim mode. It's just the meta, and pilots like to maintain the meta, unfortunately, even if it's unrealistic or even not ideal. So we've got 2 here. One is remaining head-on with me, one is notching, so we're going to lose him, probably will stay on this one. Grab a little bit of altitude, prepare to engage, here we go, get locked, Fox 1, he's going to turn right into me, not what he should be doing, unless he plans to engage. That's what he should do right there, is fly perpendicular to my radar, notch it. We still have managed to maintain a lock though, so that's pretty unlikely. Interesting. The missile will probably miss because of his altitude. Let's go ahead and see Fox 1, give him another one.
Follow me.
Relock him here. Let's see what we can do. I have crossed the MAR now with him, so there is no going back from this engagement.
Пуск разрешен. Предельная перегрузка. Включено воздушное торможение. Предельная перегрузка. Включено воздушное торможение. Пуск разрешен. Предельная перегрузка. Предельная перегрузка. Включено воздушное торможение. Включено воздушное торможение. Предельная перегрузка. Предельная перегрузка. Включено воздушное торможение. Пуск разрешен.
I'm gonna wait till we get him in more of a straightaway, and then probably give him a radar missile.
Предельный угол
I
задачи.
may have just lost this already. Made a mistake and left my air brake on for too long. He's going to try to flee. Interesting tactic. I don't think he's thinking this one through too much, but
Пуск разрешен.
we'll see. That's probably going to kill him.
Предельная перегрузка. Пуск разрешен. Пуск
Maybe not.
разрешен.
Got
Предельная перегрузка. Пуск разрешен.
Fox 2. Splash. One Gripen. It was an interesting engagement. I made some considerable mistakes there, but it worked out because he didn't quite know how to manage the space between us. So, mostly a lack of skill on his part, not incredible playing by me. There's something breaking sound barrier behind us. Makes me a little uncomfortable, but not a whole lot I can do about it, so we'll just go ahead and head back to base, grab a new missile load, or rather rearm.
Трен налево.
Something is tracking me. Something is launched at me. Rear aspect at this altitude, unlikely to hit. I'm not too worried about it. Probably isn't close enough to get an infrared missile on me, so we'll just go ahead and flare every now and then. Maintain max speed, low altitude, nose cold to him.
Скорость предельная. Скорость предельная.
Don't see anything in the mirrors. I think we're
Скорость
clear.
предельная.
Plane is
Трен направо.
getting angry with me for going
Воздушное
too fast.
торможение.
So I'll
Включено
slow it down.
воздушное торможение.
Save the maintenance guys some work on the airframe here. Yeah, so back to that minimum abort range. You really don't. The ideal engagement is not getting right up on your opponent,
Включено
dogfighting
воздушное
them,
торможение.
yanking the stick. It's just,
Предельная перегрузка.
it's guaranteeing that there will be no safe return
Включено
to home for
воздушное
one of you.
торможение.
And while, of course, you know, as long as you make sure that that's the enemy, that's fine, the
Крен
risk for you is
направо.
incredibly high. And
Включено воздушное
the
торможение.
consistent skill that you have to have for a dogfight is very difficult to maintain. Mistakes are much more
Включено
detrimental and hard to recover
воздушное
from,
торможение.
if not impossible. And even with a capability difference between you and your opponent's aircraft, you can still lose if they're a better pilot. That's much less likely the farther, the longer range you keep the engagement. If you do a BVR that is beyond visual range, missile joust with an opponent, you know, you're essentially saying,
Включено
let's
воздушное
keep it
торможение.
ranged, gentlemanly. If you can't kill me here and I can't kill you here, we'll turn around, rearm, and do it again, and you know, at least we'll both be alive to talk about
Включено
it.
воздушное торможение.
Dogfights can be exhilarating and they're fun, and I would be much more willing to engage with them, or in them rather, if I had a wingman. Though I have a lot of teammates, unless you have someone in your squad that probably will not fly wingman with you. So we're gonna play it safe. See, for example, as you see in the chat there, 2 of our aircraft just lost dogfights. And I know that because the weaponry that it says that they were killed with, the AIM-9L and AIM-9M, those are infrared-seeking missiles. Generally closer range dogfight missiles. You really just can't guarantee a victory going in that way. And it costs you and it costs your team. Of course, in real life, that's absolutely a risk that you ought not take. Unacceptable unless it is the last resort. love the silhouette of the flanker. Just a menacing aircraft. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll gain some speed here while we stay low, which will reduce the range at which we detect it on radar. And then we will climb, get some altitude, and reorient ourselves in an offensive position facing the rest of the battlefield. Prepare to make some interceptions.
Крен направо.
Don't really know what to make of that. I can't tell what direction it's moving. It could be an opponent trying to push our airfield. It could be a friendly coming into land. Let's go ahead and grab some altitude though and find out. You want to grab altitude because it's always best that you have energy on your side. There's a whole lot of literature on this. It's the energy theory of air combat, but essentially energy, of course, being height and or speed. It's going to be a friendly on our radar. We can tell that because it's represented by a dot with a line that indicates ally. The dot alone is enemy or unidentified. But yeah, speed and altitude are both forms of energy, and you can usually exchange one of them for the other if you have enough. If you are moving quickly, you can convert that speed into altitude by using your elevators, your stick pulling up. If you're a high altitude, you need to be low for whatever reason. You can convert that altitude to speed and retain your energy. And a fast plane is usually a safer plane. Something here at 50 kilometers, keeping itself low, wisely, making it very difficult for me to engage over this hill. And since he's nose hot, I think he'll likely keep coming unless I scare him off now. So what we'll do is we'll turn around, let him push over this crest to the point where I can see him from my altitude, and he cannot use the terrain as cover as much. And then once he is more in the open like that, we'll go ahead and engage him. But he might see me on radar, think I'm fleeing. Probably won't chase me since I'm so close to our side of the map. Likely ignore me, and that'll give me a good opportunity to re-engage. Alright, so we'll go ahead and bring it back around now. Try to level out our altitude here. Creating contrails, much more likely at high altitudes. See if he shows up now. There he is. Okay, so he closed a lot of distance. Got much closer than I expected him to. Fox 1, if this doesn't spook him off, we're going to need to disengage. Full missile load, high fuel. This is not a good dogfighting condition. We don't want to do that anymore. He's doing a great job at breaking our lock. And he's still approaching now to 12.5 kilometers. Splash 104S. Okay, there we go. Good. I was seconds away from disengaging there. Something's going on right here. One of these is not a friend. That is not an ally. Okay, we'll go ahead and lock it up.
Пуск разрешен.
Fox 1. Splash, that was a... Okay, these are AI. I don't want to waste my long-range missiles on him. Easy kill, but not worth the time and weaponry. Okay, back on our side of the map, back into safety. Let's go ahead and check out that high contrail. Would be pretty neat if that was a Tomcat. Eagle also, but especially if that was a Tomcat. Very good aircraft, especially at altitude. Best radar in the game, best range. Phenomenal range fighter. This aircraft is very close and very high. It's going to be extremely difficult for him to evade this missile, unless he notches me immediately. Looks like he's not planning on doing that, so this is going to be a kill. Splash, 1 F-15. Not playing to the advantages of his aircraft there. He should have seen me much sooner and pushed me defensive with a radar missile. Something is tracking me now. I got too high, probably saw my contrail and engagement with that F-15. So we'll go ahead and drop altitude in case they decide to fire a missile. And get back into safety. Try again. So I'll explain some of the things that I'm saying here, kind of like givens. So, last thing I said, we'll drop altitude in case he fired a missile. The lower you go in altitude, the more dense the air becomes. And as a result of that, missiles, which usually don't have their own propulsion for very long, have to try to maneuver themselves through denser air, and they lose their energy quickly. Aircraft have much longer fuel times. So you can keep propelling yourself away, and maybe even increasing your speed. The missile will only slow down after a certain point. So if you drop your altitude, you're forcing it into air that slows it down, and doesn't slow you down as much, so you can get away. And just before that, I mentioned notching, before we killed that F-15. Notching is a method of defeating pulse Doppler radars. Pulse Doppler radars operate on a velocity differential principle, meaning they sense, just like any other radar, they send out signals and sense a return. But if the return from that signal indicates that something's speed is changing at the rate that the sending aircraft is moving, it will filter it out. It essentially thinks, okay, well, that's probably a tree or the ground or a house or whatever, because it's moving at the same rate that I am. So it's not moving, basically. So it's not an airplane. So when you notch a pulse Doppler radar, you fly perpendicular to it. And if you can picture that in your head, if you're driving towards a car and they're driving perpendicular to you, they're only changing speed with respect to you at whatever speed you're going. So that makes the aircraft appear as the ground or something like that. And after a few seconds, the pulse Doppler radar will lose a lock on an aircraft that's notching it. Yeah, it's a pretty reliable tactic on radars of this era, especially Soviet radars. They're a little less advanced than their NATO counterparts generally. So an experienced pilot will begin notching immediately upon a missile being fired at them, or even before if they want to avoid a lock. It doesn't get as useful in close range because some missiles have inertial guidance, and I'll talk a little bit about that later when I'm not clearing my throat so much. Sorry.
Roger that. Returning to the base.
Go ahead and spend some time in this capture circle. Get a little bit of points, give them some time to respawn. Make a game plan. Come this way. You can enjoy the views. This is a lovely map. this? Certainly flying very high for someone moving into our side of the map to land.
Let's
Might
keep
be
the
an
pressure on.
AI
Victory
aircraft.
is close.
Like there's a little furball going on over there. Some sort of dogfight. Must be where all the enemies are flying. Here's something. Just barely see it there.
Предельная перегрузка.
Let's take a look. There's something very close. Not quite nose hot yet. And it's got a launch, not at us though, I don't believe. Launching at an enemy. This is a lot of aircraft here. I'm not entirely comfortable engaging with this.
Высота.
But I need to help my teammate.
Высота. Предельная перегрузка. Предельная перегрузка.
That's a flanker, so that's friendly. That's an F-16, that
Предельная
is not friendly.
перегрузка.
Let's go ahead and get stuck right in here.
Пуск разрешен.
Fox 1.
Предельная перегрузка. Пуск разрешен.
Fox 2.
Предельная перегрузка. Предельная перегрузка. Пуск разрешен. Высота. Высота. Предельная перегрузка. Предельная перегрузка. Высота.
Splash,
Предельная
F-16.
перегрузка. Предельная перегрузка.
And victory will be ours.
We'll go ahead and hop into the canyon real
Предельная
quick. Something
перегрузка.
could very easily be close to us without us knowing it. In fact, I think something is.
Предельная перегрузка.
I think I saw
Включено
something. I did see
воздушное
something.
торможение. Предельная перегрузка.
Move after
Careful
me.
with the blackout here.
Предельный угол атаки. Крен направо.
Some high alpha, low speed maneuvering here. Okay, I think we're clear. That must have been an ally. We have the fuel, we have the missiles to stay in this zone, probably until we capture it. Might end up dying for it, but we've had a good run, so we'll go ahead and do one for our team and stay in it. Do our best, of course, hopefully not die for it. See what we can do. Getting tracked from the right, see how
Предельная
close it is.
перегрузка.
Pretty close. Close and closing fast. Okay. Go ahead and track him head on.
Пуск разрешен.
Fox 1. I'll drop.
Высота.
Altitude make it much more unlikely
Высота.
for his missile to
Переведи в
connect.
набор. Предельная перегрузка. Переведи в набор.
Just a little more effort. And
Переведи
victory
в
will
набор.
surely be ours.
Переведи
I
в
gotta
набор.
understand that he's gonna come up.
Переведи в набор.
Yeah. Real fast.
Пуск разрешен.
Fox.
Переведи в набор. Переведи в набор. Переведи в набор.
Splash,
Предельная
Eagle.
перегрузка. Переведи в набор. Переведи в набор.
I think he has a buddy there.
Налево.
Behind him,
Переведи
maybe?
в набор. Переведи в набор. Предельная перегрузка. Предельная перегрузка. Предельная перегрузка. Предельная
Sounded like
перегрузка.
it.
Переведи
I don't
в
think that's a
набор.
friendly
Переведи в набор. Предельная перегрузка. Предельная перегрузка. Переведи в набор. Предельная перегрузка. Предельная
That is
перегрузка.
almost definitely
Предельная перегрузка.
No. Alright.
Высота. Предельная.
And you got me.
Катапультируйте.
Well played, sir.
Пожар двигателя.
Poor attention on my part. Very hard to see him in the backdrop of those trees. Well played there. Let's take out the MiG. You know what? Let's not. Forgot we don't have R-73s on that, so let's not take out the MiG just yet. Let's get stuck in here again. Let's do it quick too, because radar's telling me that something is close and engaging with one of my allies. Yeah, I think there they are right there. Yep, and okay, Gripen took care of it.